Do I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Well, welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live Champions League edition. It's Tuesday, the 4th of March. It's Steve Wyss here with Nigel Seeley. Nigel, how's it going?
I'm good, Steve. How are you, mate? I've got a bit of problem with my internet connection at home today. Of all the days that the internet connection has gone down, the last 16 first leg of the Champions League is not the ideal preparation for today's show. But obviously, with the powers that be, we're on 5G on my mobile phone. So I apologise for anybody who might have any problems with my internet in advance. But yeah, I've had it for 48 hours now. And when the internet goes down in your house, that's it. It's one of the worst things in the world, isn't it? You can't. It's worse than anything now. The internet goes. We're so reliant on it.
I thought that sort of thing only happened in the north, Nigel. So, but I know how you feel. I was completely cut off the other month. I had no phone signal either that day. So from the elements, but yeah, great that we managed to get you here. I had to configure a few things in the background, but yeah, welcome in all. It's the Champions League, so we're all really excited now. The last 16 phase. So many of you are already in with the comments. I just want to welcome everyone. Put down your best bets today in the comments. We'll try our best to get through them. Might not be able to get through all of them today because there's so many. We're going to go through all the 4 Champions League games, a bit of championship action as well, and of course we start with the actual futures market itself and the Champions League draw. And I'm just put it up on screen there so everyone knows the route to the final. Here we've got 2 sides of the coin. It's like a tennis draw now, Nigel, isn't it? It's unlike previous years where it was luck of the draw. So everyone knows their route now. You previously gave out Atlético Madrid and Inter Milan. I think it was 33s and 25-1 respectively. You must be reasonably happy with those draws, I think, for those 2 teams. How do you see it going from here?
Well, I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm not too concerned at all. I think Atletico Madrid have obviously got the big match tonight against Real Madrid, and whoever comes through that tie, I think will be overwhelming favourites against this current version of Arsenal and PSV, and then we get through to the semi-finals, and anything can happen. I've worried for Liverpool tomorrow. I'm not going to be on the show tomorrow, but I think PSG are an improving outfit, and I think if I was going to have a bet now, I'd probably be looking at the French champions to add to my portfolio. But I'm not really worried. I'll probably be a little bit of a fade of Liverpool at the moment. And I know they've run away with the Premier League title, and I've been quite negative in my approach to them. I haven't been correct in my approach to Liverpool to win the title. But I do think that they've been very fortunate to win the Premier League title. They've done what they've had to do, but they've played their main rivals, Arsenal, being decimated by injuries, haven't got any strikers. Newcastle, when they played Newcastle, they were without Isaac. Manchester City, when they played Liverpool as well, didn't have Haaland. So they've been very, very fortunate in the big games. Don't take anything away from Arne Slot. He's only lost 4 matches in charge at Liverpool. But I would probably be fading Liverpool. I think there could be a tough match for them tomorrow evening. But it's about tonight. I'm happy with my positions. I'm not going to really add anything. But if Bet Rivers gave me a free bet tonight on those prices now, I mean, how on earth can Arsenal be 6-1 to win the Champions League? I mean, that's to me just, I can't have that at all. Barcelona at 4-1, can't have that. I mean, Atletico Madrid are not far off the best team in Spain, and they're 20-1 compared to Barcelona at 4-1. So I'm happy with my position of Inter and Atletico Madrid. I'm not convinced by Bayern Munich. I think they've got a tough match tomorrow. Well, they have got an extremely tough match against Leverkusen. And by the process of elimination, all that really leaves is Paris Saint-Germain. So if I had a free bet now, I'll be going for Paris Saint-Germain at 12-1.
Yeah, I certainly think you've got a good position there with Atletico Madrid and Inter. I still really like Inter. I wouldn't bet them at 12-1 now necessarily, but I think they've got a nice section there. They can go deep. I still think they're the best team in Serie A. And I actually think Leverkusen at 28-1 there with Bet Rivers would be my free bet if I had to take one now. I think they are underrated. And as newsletter subscribers will know, I think they've got a great chance against Bayern Munich. So that's the outright department sorted. Put in who's going to win the Champions League. Put it in the comments. There's loads of different opinions about this. But yeah, you're right. Today is all about the matches on Tuesday, Nigel. We've got 4 games across the card. We start with an early fixture in Belgium, Club Brugge against Aston Villa. Aston Villa are actually the favourites here to win the game inside 90 minutes. Plus 143, Club Brugge at plus 200. The tie is at plus 230. The two teams have previously met in the group stage. It was a close match, but Club Brugge won 1-0. Therefore, is it a bit of a surprise that Villa are the favourites here, Nigel, do you think?
Let's come on to before we come on to this match, let me give you some little trends and statistics for last 16 matches in the Champions League. Now, everybody who knows these shows, everyone who's known me from the years and I've done these kind of shows and been involved on the Betting Weekly studios will know that I like betting unders on total goals. The under 2.5 is my traditional go-to play. In the last couple of seasons, it hasn't been a bet that you would have cashed on. And in this season's Champions League, in this new group format, it's a bet that definitely hasn't been to your advantage if you played the under 2.5 goals. Lots of goals around in the group stages, as you would expect with so much money. We saw in the playoff matches, to get to this stage, the teams who went through the playoff matches, the goals dried up a little bit and the draws come into the equation. Dan Roebuck has been very much banging on the drum about the lack of draws in this competition. But I think that new format on the way the league was set out meant that teams had to go for a little bit. Now we've gone back to our traditional last 16 two-legged affairs, knockout affairs. Now, I don't know if did you have a look at that? Have you looked at the trends in this, Steve? Did you look at it?
Well, Will White, yeah. I mean, I remember last year, me and Will White were mentioning this, and especially in the first legs, last 16, there's a big under trend, isn't there, down the years?
Last year, in 7 of the 8 first legs in the Champions League, they all went unders. The year before, 7 of the 8 went unders, and the year before that, 6 of the 8 went under 2.5 goals. So you're talking 20 first leg matches out of 24 in leg 1 in the last 3 seasons have cashed under 2.5 goals. And I think that has got to be the way you've got to approach these matches tonight. I think they're going to be tight. I wouldn't rule out an under 2.5 goal parlay on all 4 of them. Something like that. I mean, there'll probably be one that might let you down. We'll come on to the matches individually in a minute, but I think you've got to start with your analysis here, looking at those under 2.5 goals. The trends are so strong, and now we sort of go back to the norm. Forget what we've seen in the group stages. You've got to think of what is at stake for these clubs, and in particular, this first game, Bruges against Aston Villa. This is a huge opportunity for one of these clubs to get through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Neither side would have thought they'd get through to the quarterfinals. No, Bruges certainly wouldn't have done. Aston Villa, probably in their wildest dreams. I think the reason why Aston Villa are the favourites here is one reason and one reason only, and that is their manager. Unai Emery has such a good, strong record in European football that I think that they look at him as their 12th man in this match. And I think that Villa are the favourites for that reason. He's won so many Europa Leagues with Seville and managed teams at the top level in European football. And his record in European football is absolutely superb. He knows how to win. He knows how to negotiate knockout stages. And that is the thing here. The other thing for Aston Villa is they've given a massive boost that their 3 main injury concerns have travelled with them, defensive problems for them. I think Mings has travelled, Matty Cash has travelled. Not saying they're going to play, but they've definitely they've definitely travelled. If you look at the quotes from the Bruges manager, he's turned around and said that they have to win this match because their road record is poor, the Belgian champions, and Aston Villa at Villa Park have only failed to lose. They've failed to lose just 3 matches in their last 44. So this is a must-win match for Bruges. I don't think it's a must-win match for Aston Villa. So I was leaning here towards Bruges on the draw no bet market because I think that they may edge it only slightly. They did win the match earlier in the campaign 1-0. That kind of scoreline does interest me again. Another low-scoring Bruges win. I think Villa will come here and try to get a draw. Villa know at home. They've already beaten Bayern Munich at home in the Champions League. They've had some rocking nights already. And they've used up so much energy in those big matches that on their road form in the Champions League, it hasn't been anywhere near as good as what they have done in their home form. Their last 3 matches in the league format of this competition, they lost all 3 on the road and didn't score a goal. So I think here that there could be a narrow Bruges win. I think I like under 2.5 goals. Under 2.5 goals is now minus 130 for all the trends I said at the start of the show. I think it's all about Bruges having to take the match to Aston Villa. And I just feel that Bruges draw no bet at plus 108 would be my best bet in this match here. If I was looking for another bet, it would be under 2.5 goals. But I do think the home side and the quotes from the manager mean that this is probably this is the biggest. I think it's one of the biggest games in Club Brugge is recent history. If you look at their record this season, 44 matches in all competitions, they've only failed to score in 3. They've got goals in this team. They're very, very strong in going forward positions. And I think Aston Villa's weakness is in their defensiveness. So I would go for Bruges draw no bet. Not massive, but I do think the fact that Villa are so strong at home, they're not going to be out of this in a 1-0 defeat. But Bruges have to get something from this to take back to the second leg over at Villa Park. So Bruges draw no bet here at plus 108 would be the best bet. And obviously, I'm looking for unders. The other thing is that Bruges are so far off the pace in the Belgian League this season. They're 4th in the Belgian League. They've had a terrible, terrible year. I think they're something like 19 points off the league leaders. And they've only got 2 more matches domestically in their league as well. So they can go all out for this match. Aston Villa have got the FA Cup. They've got still got a slim chance to get into the Champions League and European positions in their league form as well. But this is it for Bruges. Their season is on the line in this one match. And I think plus 108 for Bruges on the draw no bet would be my best bet in this match.
Villa fan 20. He says, hi guys, I'm hoping for a tight win for Villa. He likes Asensio any time. He started well since his spell here at Villa, and Rashford also. Is worth mentioning, obviously, those 2 players plus Disasi are registered for Aston Villa since the previous meeting. And Doniel Marlon is not registered for the Champions League. They could only add 3 new players. I agree with you here. I think Club Brugge are definitely a bet here on the draw no bet line at plus 110 with Bet Rivers. I think that's far too big. I mean, Villa away from home. A lot of people mentioning this in the comments. They've actually got the 5th worst Premier League away record, Nigel. And in Europe, they did beat Young Boys away. They did beat RB Leipzig away. But those 2 were awful, weren't they, in the league phase? So I don't think Villa's away form is particularly great. If you offered them a 1-0 defeat now, they'd probably take it because you're right. At Villa Park, they're so strong. I think
they'd be happy with a draw. I think the Dan Roebuck's trends for the draw. I was looking at the draw here as well potentially, but I just do think that that Bruges. If you read the quotes from the manager here, I think he's saying they've got to win this match or they're not going to get anything from Villa Park. And if you look at Bruges' road record this season, it's pretty poor as well. So this is a pivotal match in their season, and the fact they don't have those, only 2 more league games to go. Nothing else to focus on apart from this. They can just go all out for this match. The season was done domestically, weeks back, so they had to just concentrate on this European run. They've scored goals already against big sides. They've scored goals against Manchester City in that game, which was a wild game at the last group stage, where they look like they're going to knock Man City out. They won't be frightened to this game. They've beaten Villa already before. So yeah, I'm going to start off with Bruges draw no bet here at plus 108, and there's a few leans. I mean, I've got a small lean for the draw, and I've got a small lean for under 2.5 goals here as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a low-scoring draw on it if Villa can soak it all up. I just don't think Villa will offer much as an attacking threat here, and I think it's all about keep the game level. If you can nick a 1-0, great, but get it back to Villa Park and put them to bed over there. So I'm going to go for Club Brugge draw no bet as my first bet on the Champions League.
Yeah, that is my bet as well. But 70% of the money is on Aston Villa. 81% of the money is on the over here. That surprises me, especially for the over. I've got to be honest with you. There's a house special.
You look at Bruges matches. I mean, there's a huge amount of goals whenever they play, but the standard of the Belgian league is nowhere near as strong as as the Premier League. And apart from their Champions League campaign, Bruges have had an awful season, from their high hopes. I mean, it's not the strongest in the league. For them to finish 4th and that way off the front too as well, it's a real disappointing campaign. So this is it for them, and it's a huge night for them in their club history, and they've got an opportunity to go to Villa Park and hopefully, for their sake, hopefully hold on to a lead. But I think for them to get through this, they need to put 2 past Villa, I think, over 2 legs. That crowd at Villa Park will be enough to get them through to quarterfinals, I believe. But I just don't think that Villa will necessarily win this match. And I don't understand really why they're favourites. And the only reason I can think of that is because there is a big gulf, obviously, between the Premier League and the Belgian League. But I think primarily as well, the pedigree of the manager, Emery.
Yeah, the Belgian league's a difficult league to assess. It seems to vary year in, year out. Sides like Anderlecht, Union Saint-Gilloise have done all right in Europe this season. Genk are miles clear at the top. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about Genk this year because they've not even been in Europe. So, put it in comments if you know much about Genk. How good are they? If they're a really strong team, maybe Club Brugge, the league table doesn't look quite so bad on them. There's two house specials, which I'm not sure you'll like the first one here, Nigel. Over 11.5 total goals scored across the 4 matches today. That's at plus 110.
No,
I didn't think you'd be over there, would you?
I'd be doing that.
And over 44.5 total corners across all the 4 games in the Champions League today. That is at plus 140.
I think you've got to be those corner markets and those booking markets and stuff. I just think the first legs are just tight and everything just explodes in leg number 2. I had a conversation with you on the phone this morning about the strategy to play overs on all markets. This is not something that's just sort of happened overnight. I mean, these are matches where you have to play the under 2.5 goals. It's like the playoffs in the UK, isn't it? When we get to the playoffs in the Championship and League One and League Two, the first legs of the semi-finals of the playoffs are just always 0-0, 1-0, under 1.5, under 2.5, and every year it's a way to just pick up a little bit of money at the end of the season. And I just got a feeling tonight the strategy's got to be exactly the same.
Well, judging by the comments, the Villa fans are quite confident here heading into Belgium. So let's see how this match goes. We think definitely Club Brugge there on the draw no bet plus 110 for the early kickoff. That gets underway in about an hour and a half time. Let's move on to an incredibly tasty game. A last 16 Champions League match between Real Madrid and Atlético Madrid. Wouldn't have been allowed to happen in the past, of course. 2 teams from the same nations couldn't meet at this stage. They can now. Real Madrid are minus 121 to win the first leg here. 7 of the last 8 meetings have ended draws inside 90 minutes, Nigel. So this may well be music to Dan Roebuck's ears here in Madrid. What do you... a lot of things pointing to, I think, to quite a close game.
Well, as you say, 7 of the last 9 have been been draws in 90 minutes, which is one of my statistics here that I've got here. The last 9 league matches between these two, both teams have scored has been a yes, but 7 of the last 8 have cashed under 2.5. A lot of them have cashed under 2.5 goals because a huge amount of them have finished with 1-1 draws. Again, I think this is whoever wins this match, I believe, will fancy their chances very strongly to beat Arsenal or Paris Saint-Germain and progress through to the semi-final. So it's a huge, huge match. The 2 domestic matches this season are both ending in 1-1 draws. The draw here is plus 270, which is a price that you traditionally in these kind of matches, it's a little bit of a big price. You would think that a draw in the first leg of a last 16 Champions League match would be around about plus 250. The Bruges Villa game is plus 225. And a lot of the matches tonight, we've got 2 other matches where the draw is plus 245 as well in a match that looks a draw. I mean, the most likely outcome between these 2 sides is a draw. I mean, their league form is very, very similar. Hardly anything is split from them at the top of the La Liga table. And I just got a feeling here that we're going to keep it safe again. I mean, this is the one I probably wouldn't necessarily jump on the under 2.5 goals here, despite the market is really solid. The under 2.5 goals is plus 110. It's been 110 throughout the day. Over 2.5 goals is minus 136. So of all the matches this evening, this is one of the ones that we really expect. Bet Rivers expect goals. It's the ones that they expect most goals in, the shortest price on the overs. So I wouldn't probably rush to back the 2.5 here. But this is a side where there's only 2 points between them in second and third in the league table, and Atletico Madrid hold an advantage over them by 2 points in that as well. So the prices here don't really make a lot of sense to me. I think the draw here at plus 270 for any recreational better wanting to bet on this match is a decent bet. So many draws. They met so many times in big competitions, in big matches. And I just feel that here that they've been in this stage so many times before that this will be very, very cagey, very, very nervy. And if you're going to go for a hot dog or going to go for a little bit of pizza money, I think the 1-1 draw here, which has been it's amazing how many 1-1 draws between these 2 sides. Twice already this season, 1-1. 7 of the 9 matches in regular time has finished a draw. The huge majority of them 1-1. And this is such a big match where on the side of a draw where whoever comes through it really is going to fancy their chances to go very, very deep. And I just like the draw here. I think plus 270 is the draw. And I like,
The one or draws are plus 550.
Yeah, I'd probably go for 1-1 at plus 550 as a little bit of a hot dog. I mean, I don't think as much as any way of team news coming out, last minute team news, because the market.
Valverde, I think, is the big doubt, isn't he? Valverde is about 50-50 to start. Bellingham suspended. We know Carvajal, Capchabelos, and Militao, they're injured. So I think on the Atletico Madrid side, there's hardly any casualties.
I mean, without we know the Bellingham news, and I think that sort of had an influence on the prices, but not as much as you would expect. And obviously, without him, I think that really does help Atletico Madrid's chances here. And we know Simone's a master tactician, and you just know what to expect. You're going to be in a game. He's going to have a game plan. He's going to ruffle them up. He's going to try to get in their face, and he changes the way he played at Atletico Madrid early part of the season, but he's got back to that sort of horrid way that he plays, and he tries to you see him cheering Conor Gallagher's tackles on the sidelines the other day too.
I hated it. It was
crazy. It was mad. It was madness. But I can see what's going on. I think the thing here, I think it's all going to be poised for the second leg. I mean, the second leg is going to be a wild affair here, and you're talking about bookings and cars and feistiness. The second leg in this match will be crazy, but I'm not necessarily sure the fireworks are going to start just yet. So for me, the draw here looks a very, very generous price at plus 270. I like the draw. I'm not going to have it as official play. I probably won't be betting it the draw here, but I might do in play. If it's like a draw after 60 minutes or 65 minutes, and you can get something like plus 105, plus 110 with Bet Rivers during the match, then I'll probably pull the trigger and have a bet on the draw during play. But anything can happen. When you're betting the draw, you've got to read the match completely right from the first minute. A goal after 2 minutes, 3 minutes can change the whole complexion of this match. If it sort of goes your way of thinking, and you get to sort of like 10, 15 minutes into the second half, I like to bet the draw then at sort of plus 110, like I say, plus 115, those kind of prices. So for me, lean pre-match on the draw. I would go for 1-1 correct score, but I'm not betting them. I will bet them when they in play if the match goes how I expect it to go.
Yeah, I've got a lean here for Atletico Madrid on the draw double chance at minus 112 now. I don't think they'll get beat in the first leg. It's interesting you talked about the cards there, because we've got to discuss the referee for this game. And it is Clement Turpin has been reeled out by UEFA, a man who is known for letting a lot of things go. He actually gave no cards. Manchester City against Real Madrid and Villa against Celtic. Gave one card in PSG versus Monaco, highest profile French game. This guy has actually gone under 4.5 cards in all of his last 11 matches officiated. So for those who can get on the cards, despite the ferocious nature of this fixture, I actually believe under 4.5 cards is worth a bet here.
What is it? What is the price under 4.5 goals?
Minus 113 under 4.5 cards with Clement Turpin in charge. I just think he won't want this to become a bloodbath, and I'm not sure the teams in the first leg want it to become a bloodbath. Second leg, different kettle of fish entirely. But actually, the recent history in this game, Nigel, 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads have gone under 5.5 cards. That's a surprise, I think. I mean, most of those, well, all of them have been domestically. So maybe the referees that have been tasked with, are letting more go because they don't want to see it descend into chaos. That's my theory about how these games have been refereed recently. And I think Turpin will be exactly the same. Yeah,
I think he will. But obviously, things change, cars and games and, early goals in football matches, or, if one team goes 2-0 up in this match and the other team will lose their heads and try to fight back. So if we're reading the match how we think it's going to be, where we think it's going to be very close, the draw becomes a runner, 0-0, all going into the second leg, then obviously that under on the bookings comes into account as well. Maybe it'll be a bet again in play at half time if it's 0-0. But obviously, if things change and the goals go in, then it becomes a lot more feisty and players can lose their heads. So for this match, I think it's how you interpret the match at the very beginning, which is all betting's about really. And that's why I think that it can change very quickly. And I would probably be looking to get involved in these markets like during the match rather than pre.
Real Madrid, I can tell you now, over 50% of the future tickets to win the Champions League with Bet Rivers are on Real Madrid. Inter Milan have the biggest remaining handle, though, on the futures market. For this particular game, no real surprise. Most of the money is for Real Madrid. If I can just find you the stats now, 94% of the money for this first leg is on Real Madrid. 72% of the money is on the over. Kylian Mbappe is the most wagered prop today to score at any time. That's no real surprise.
What price is he now to score any time? You know.
Yeah, I'll just check you the latest price now for Kylian Mbappe to score, and it's a plus 112. I mean, you can see why that's popular.
It's going to be popular with anybody. Anything when you get Mbappe at plus money to score any time, given the form he's in, 7 goals for 7 matches, and there's no Bellingham as well on that side, so they may have to tinker out the formation. You can understand why people want to bet him, but this is, traditionally a low scoring stage. And, second leg, if you can get plus 110 where anything can happen, that would be the better bet for me.
Joe Bamba says, if this ends 1-1, who scores for Atleti? Well, I would actually say Julian Alvarez. He took his chance really, really well at the weekend against Bilbao. I was on Bilbao in that game, and I was looking set for a nice 0-0 draw double chance, but Alvarez just took his chance really well. I think Man City have really missed Julian Alvarez this season.
Oh,
Nigel.
Massive. Huge. I mean, I think he's. Mamouche is going to be a quality player, but he's got something about him. But Alvarez is a given that he's had 2 seasons in the Premier League before that. I'd want him as my understudy for Haaland for sure.
Yeah, someone put Alvarez shot on target in this game as his top bet. I think it was close to even. So yeah, I wouldn't want to put off anyone for that because he is a very clinical finisher when he's in the mood. So yeah, really tasty looking match in Madrid there. And you got a lean there for the draw and the 1-1. I've got a lean on the Atletico Madrid draw double chance, and I do think it's worth getting on under 4.5 cards for this game based on the referee mostly. But we move to the Netherlands now and to Eindhoven. PSV Eindhoven against Arsenal, and Arsenal minus money to win this game. The first leg minus 107 now with Bet Rivers. PSV at plus 310 and the tie at plus 240. I think it's fair to say that both teams don't really head into this match in any sort of form, Nigel, whatsoever. So
no.
A little bit surprised Arsenal are minus money to win the game, I would say.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't bet Arsenal minus money against anyone at the moment, the way they're playing, the way they can't score goals. We all know the problems they have. We all know that Arteta hasn't spent money on a striker for the last couple of years, and his reluctance to spend that money on that striker has been his problems to win the Premier League and to go deep in this Champions League. It would appear. I mean, their last 4 matches, they've only scored 2 goals in 1 match, and that was in the last 10 minutes against Leicester. Prior to that, after that, they didn't look like scoring against Newcastle. They had absolutely no way it looked like the pace against West Ham was off the place completely. And in the game against Nottingham Forest, they could be still playing now and not scoring. I mean, I looked at this match here, and I think the only way that Arsenal can go here and have if Arsenal concede, they're in trouble. And that's the problem. That's what when West Ham scored against them, they knew they didn't have the capabilities to score 2 goals against the West Ham side. So I think that PSV have got a huge opportunity here against this Arsenal side. But I think the tactics of Arteta will be here to go here and just try to get a 0-0 draw and bring it back to the Emirates, or try to again get a 1-0 win. This is my banker bet of the night, under 2.5 goals. I bet it earlier on today at minus 120. It went to minus 132 with Bet Rivers. It's now minus 136. I think you might want to bet the under 2 goals in Asian, or maybe even under 1.5 goals as well. I think the 0-0 is a big runner in this match as well at 8-1, because I think Arteta will go here to a 0-0. We saw him early in the competition go to Inter, set himself up for a 0-0. They lost 1-0. He went to Atalanta, got a 0-0 draw thanks to a penalty save as well. he's been quite negative on the road, and with what he's got, he just cannot concede a goal. If Arsenal concede 2 goals in this match, I don't see Arsenal scoring 2 goals in the 2 legs the way that this side is set up. Now, the front 4, I looked at the betting for this match, and this just highlights the problem that Arsenal have here. So these are the most likely goal scorers for Arsenal this evening: Trossard, Sterling, Merino, and is it Nwaneri? I can't remember pronounce his name.
I'll leave you with that pronunciation.
I think it's. I could never pronounce it. I'm not very good at these pronunciations. But there are these 4 likeliest goal scorers. Now you're looking at a Champions League where you've got teams with Lewandowski, Salah. You've got a Champions League with Mbappe, and they are the front 4 for Arsenal, the most likely players to score for Arsenal, and that highlights you why 6-1 Arsenal to win the Champions League is one of the worst bets of all time. And that shows you why under 2.5 goals here is a great bet. Because when you bet the over 2.5 goals, you need 2 teams 9 times out of 10, you need 2 teams to contribute to the goal action. I just can't see Arsenal contributing to the goal action. You've got a PSV side here who've lost their last 2 matches against go-ahead Eagles, lost in the league and in the cup competitions as well. The manager, Peter Bosz, likes to play an attack-minded football match here, but I got a feeling here that Arsenal will come and park the bus, and I think that PSV will not really know what to do, and I think Arsenal will come to frustrate, get them back to the Emirates, and try to nick a 1-0, 2-0. Arsenal's best chance is from set pieces. Arsenal's best chance is from corners, and that's where Gabriel goes up, and you obviously got Saliba as well. But I did speak to a guy today who has quite good connections at Arsenal, and he told me that Calafiori will play in a more advanced role this evening for Arsenal. So I was looking around to try to find ways that we could capitalise on Calafiori playing in more of an advanced role. And he's 18-1 to score the first goal, 8-1 to score at any time. In a match that I'm predicting a 0-0 or 1-0, I probably wouldn't be doing that. But I know a lot of people who come on this show, they love their shots on target and they love the shots in the game. Well, Calafiori to have a shot in the match is plus 310, bigger than 3-1. And I am hearing from somebody that I do get a little bit of team news from, who I respect his opinion, said that Calafiori will be playing in a more advanced role tonight for Arsenal. So Calafiori to have a shot, if that interests anybody, plus 310 could be the bet here. But I'm very heavily involved in under 2.5 goals already, minus 120. I wouldn't bet it at minus 136, unfortunately, but I would be interested in the 2 with the push on the Asian. And again, I do like 0-0 here. I think no goal scorer is a real runner, because Arsenal are in a real problem, and at this level of European football, they have got none of those 4 players would fear any team remain in this competition. They're in serious trouble.
PSV have only lost 4 of their last 37 home games in Europe. And they're unbeaten in 15 matches here. So I did look at the PSV draw double chance at minus 125. My problem is I can't trust Peter Bosz. He's not a manager I can ever trust. I don't really rate him, to be honest, Nigel. I think he tactically just goes a bit too gung-ho at times. And that we go in. I mean, Foxy makes an interesting point about PSV's defence there. They don't keep that many clean sheets. So he's thinking a 1-1 game. He also thinks Arsenal's defence is very overrated. There's a few comments about the Arsenal defence here. They do metrics.
Well, they're under pressure, aren't they? The problem with Arsenal's defence is that they're under huge pressure, because every time they take to the pitch, they cannot concede. If Arsenal concede a goal, which they have done in 3 of the last 4 matches, they've lost. Or they've lost 2 and they haven't won. They drew the 0-0 against Forest. So sorry, when they do concede a goal, they can't come back and get 2, and that is the problem. They play such a slow tempo at the moment. The ball is going backwards, and they've been playing this Moreno up front. He got lucky to get 2 goals against Leicester, but I mean it's 7-1 to score the first goal. I mean, really, he's just so out of position, and for a team challenging for the Premier League title and into the knockout stages of the European Cup to the Champions League, to be down to this is a real sorry state. And Arsenal have got to just defend for their lives and try to get just not concede and try and hit one with a set piece. That's all they can do, which brings in Saliba and Gabriel for goal scoring threats. I mean, I'd much rather back those two to score any time than any of the front four, without a shadow of doubt. I'd almost double the price.
I think Arsenal will actually get more chances in this game than they did against West Ham and Forest, but I wouldn't trust any of the attackers to score them. That's the thing. They might get opportunities. It's a house special here, which I've got to be honest, that doesn't really interest me. Raheem Sterling to score or record an assist and Arsenal to win at plus 295.
You couldn't be putting serious money on Raheem Sterling at the moment with any hope of cashing. I mean, really, he is a shadow of his former self, and his confidence must be as low as it has ever been in his career. He's had some very big highs and very lows in his career, but I mean, Raheem Sterling, no.
Well, will he even start?
Well, they haven't
I think
got
he's
much.
projected.
They haven't got much. This is the problem. I mean, the team news has come out for the Aston Villa game. I don't know if you've seen that, Steve.
Yes. The Villa fan just said here the back four, Mings and Disasi, Digne left back, and Connie, you're right about the strongest defence that Villa have put out in a month or so, according to a Villa fan. Mings, I'm not always sure about Mings, but I know he's a big influence for them at the back there. I think it reinforces maybe under in Bruges. I think the 1-0 to Club Brugge could be on the cards. I really do.
Yeah, I love the under. I think the under here. It's a little parlay, under 2.5 goals in both matches involving the two English sides, Villa against Bruges and Arsenal against PSV. To enhance your price would be a decent bet for me. That will pay. Let me see what that will pay. So it's plus 130, and it's currently so that will play just bigger than 2-1. I think that's a nice little bet. Under 2.5 goals. Club Brugge, Villa, and PSV against Arsenal.
King Shane says Arsenal most corners. That could be, I could definitely see that. They probably will dominate certain things territorially. Annie says PSV definitely scoring a goal here. Who do you fancy to score, Annie? Is it going to be Luke de Jong? Pepe is ruled out, injured. One of the former FC Dallas player who has had a good season for PSV. So that's a weapon that's not available for them today. The splits for the match before I move on. 81% of the money's on Arsenal, 70% of the tickets are on the over, but 69% of the money's on the under. So the money is for the under on this game, and that's your best bet of the day, isn't it, Nigel? Under 2.5.
It was earlier today at minus 120. It's not necessarily now at minus one. It was minus 130, minus 136.
36.
I'd probably bet. If anybody's not on the under 2.5 already, I'd probably bet the under 2 on the Asian, or just do that little parlay at bigger than 2-1. I think it's plus 208 for the under those two matches. I think that's a nice play.
Yeah, I wouldn't be betting Arsenal here, but draw double chance on PSV would be a lean for me, minus 125. But I do kind of, back of my head, I'm kind of fearing that 1-0 Arsenal win where they score from a set piece sort of thing. That can happen with Arsenal. They've got more mental qualities than some give them credit for, in my opinion. Final game of the day to discuss in the Champions League, Borussia Dortmund against Lille. A suddenly resurgent Dortmund again. I think they're one of the hardest teams to predict in Europe. Minus 167 to beat Lille in the first leg. A Lille side who've beaten Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid this season. Gave Liverpool a big scare at Anfield. Are Lille a bit disrespected here at plus 450 to win, Nigel? Or are Borussia Dortmund back in business?
Well, I was hoping that you would take over the mantle on this much, because I've looked at it about 10.
I've got plenty to say about Dortmund.
I'm trying to find an angle, and I'm trying to find something to go with, and I found it virtually impossible. I mean, both of these sides, Dortmund especially, have been a sort of a Jekyll and Hyde in the times of the domestic league and what they're doing in European football. But they had that terrible run, didn't they, around January time, where they couldn't put a win together, lost 4 on the bounce. Lost 3 matches on the spin. They lost that embarrassing match to Holstein Kiel 4-2. Went to Frankfurt, lost 2-0, and then they got beat by Bologna in the Champions League. But they have got back-to-back wins. They haven't conceded in their last 3 matches as well, including a 0-0 draw against Sporting Lisbon, which was enough to get them through to this stage. But they are a side that seem to raise it on big Champions League nights. They're minus 167 here. they're taking on a Lille side that have been a revelation. They finished 7th, automatically qualified, didn't have to come through qualification in the league table for the Champions League, and they do appear to be disrespected at plus 450 by Bet Rivers. But this is an all of a new thing here for them, isn't it? I mean, they've never got to this kind of stage of the competition before. They're up against a Dortmund side who've got to the final last year, got to previous finals as well, and even won the tournament. So this is a team that know exactly what to do. If you look at Lille's form, it's pretty good coming into the event. They only got beat by Paris Saint-Germain at the weekend, but everyone in France gets beat by Paris Saint-Germain. And I think they'll go here with nothing to lose. If they can keep the crowd quiet at the early part, which is the most important thing over in Dortmund, then they've got a realistic chance of coming away with something. But if Dortmund score early, they have the capabilities to get 3 or 4. We don't know what Dortmund side is going to turn up in this one, and we don't know if Lille are going to freeze on the big stage. And those are the 2 questions you've got to answer yourself. I really don't. I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. And if I was going to try and find a bet, I would just be coming up for one for the sake of coming up with them. So I was hoping, you being more of a French expert than me, you might be able to steer me in the direction of a bit of advice.
Well, my best player prop bet of the day comes in this game, no doubt about it, and that is on Serhou Guirassy to score at any time at plus 120. This guy has been on fire. I mean, he's had a strong season anyway, to be fair to him, but I think since Niko Kovac came in as manager, he's employing him in a really good role. His confidence is up. I know he let a lot of bettors down in the second leg against Sporting when he missed a penalty. But I don't know. Maybe it was one of those, they were 3-0 up. He might have lost focus. If it was a really important penalty, I actually would have backed him to score because I really rate this guy. But it's his physical. Someone mentioned it in the comments, actually. His physical attributes that he could really boss this Lille defence. And that Lille side did not look good to me against PSG at the weekend. And I know PSG are playing an unbelievable form at the minute, but that was a worrying performance for me. I actually think Dortmund win, which that's music to the ears of Lille fans because I never ever predict Dortmund right, Nigel, right, in terms of result. I wouldn't bet them at minus 167 though. I think I was kind of hoping they'd be about minus 110 here, minus 120. Wow. So yeah, I think the prices are wrong.
You're not going to be getting that.
No chance. No. So really, based on that, I suppose Lille would be kind of a value bet, but I don't bet. I'd rarely bet on things that I don't think is going to happen. So I believe Dortmund will win the game. But I think Guirassy, based on that to score at plus 120, is a really good player prop game. Someone put him in for the shots on targets as well, which is very, very possible. Dortmund have enjoyed them. Lille have enjoyed themselves in Europe this season. So you've got to be a little bit careful. And they've got a manager who can't beat anyone on the day. No real surprise where the money is in this game.
But Guirassy's got an incentive. He's the top goal scorer in the Champions League. 10 goals. Lewandowski plays tomorrow. He's got a marker. They are the shortest price favourite on the card tonight, so everyone expects them to win. If you looked at the game tonight, you said which favourite would you bet? Out of all of them, you'd probably go for Dortmund here. So he's got a big stage to set a marker down to say to Lewandowski, right? Okay, I'm a couple clear of you now. He does look the play. I mean, if this was a Dortmund side of years gone by, with sort of a more prolific striker in the side, or if it was a side like Barcelona up against Lille, what price would Lewandowski be to score?
Well, it'd be minus money.
Yeah, it'd be
minus money.
If it was Barcelona v Lille, I reckon Lewandowski would be about minus 175, minus 150. Yeah. And now you've got the top goal scorer in the tournament at plus 120 to score any time. And, if it was Haaland playing against Lille as well at Man City, you'd be looking at minus $2 perhaps. So the market is being very, very giving him, no real credit that the fact he's a top goal scorer in a top competition. So at plus 120, I've found the bet, Steve. I'll be having tonight on that match. We're watching Guirassy to get and score any time at plus 120. I like that play. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, he should still be on penalty duty despite that miss. Joe Bamba says penalty in the match, and I know why Joe Bamba likes that because the referee in charge, Jose Maria Sanchez Martinez, Spanish referee, does have a high penalty.
I didn't think he was Scottish with a name like that. Scottish referee.
He does have a high penalties per game average. Be very careful. There's 2 Spanish referees in action tonight. The other one, I think, is I can't remember exactly. But the referees in Spain and Portugal referee the games in Champions League way differently to what they do domestically. Much higher cards count domestically. Champions League, it's like they calm down and they ref almost normally. But he does have a high penalty count. 91% of the money's on Borussia Dortmund for this game. 75% of the money's on in the over-under markets on the over. This is the one match, actually, of the 4 that could go over, I think. I'm not saying it will, but this could be the one that does maybe go over 2.5 goals. But I wouldn't wager on it. I agree with you. I think an under parlay, certainly say an under 3.5 goal parlay across all 4 games, may well cash in some very tight first legs.
Well, there's always one that lets you down in the last couple of seasons. So to get them all home might be a little bit optimistic. But I really do like the unders in the 2 English games. The Arsenal one for me is the best bet of the night, and Aston Villa Bruges will be my second best bet.
Justin Clopton plus 200 for a penalty in the match. That's not a bad price, actually. It often will sometimes go to like plus 170, plus 175, Justin. So that could be worth looking at. So we've also got obviously matches in England today, Nigel. So whilst you're on, we've got 4 championship games to discuss. People have been putting in the comments what their best bets have been in England as the show's been live. But 4 games. There's a house special I need to mention here, actually. This is a tasty house special, actually, with Bet Rivers. Burnley to win to 0 against Cardiff is plus 160. Bet Rivers are really dangling a carrot there. Nearly every Burnley win is to 0, isn't it, these days? They're minus 121 just to win against Cardiff on the money line there. We've got Millwall, Bristol City, Preston North End, Swansea, and Hull against Plymouth Argyle. So what do you like on this championship card?
I like their win to 0. Their last 7 matches that they've won have been to 0. So the last 7 Burnley matches where they've actually won, all of them they've won and haven't conceded. They've only lost one. They've only lost 1 match since November. That was in their last match in the FA Cup. So domestically in the league, they haven't lost at all. But they're what price was that?
Plus 160. And you can actually bet win to 0 now directly on the Bet Rivers website. You don't have to same game parlay anymore.
Oh, brilliant! So I mean, I like it. I haven't got the. I haven't got the.
I just put it up for you now, Nigel. There we go.
I can't see that with my eyes on this little computer screen. But I'll tell you what I've got here. I mean, obviously Cardiff Burnley is a big match for both teams at different ends of the table. I like Bristol City tonight to beat Millwall, or definitely on the draw no bet at minus 107. Bristol City have got an opportunity tonight to win and go within touching distance of the playoffs against the Millwall side that have got nothing to play for effectively as part of the remainder of the season. They're a side that played in that FA Cup match against Crystal Palace on Saturday, and a huge match, a local derby between 2 sides that don't really get on very well. And their their goalkeeper is suspended for that one, Roberts, after that horror tackle that he made on.
Was that a red card, Nigel?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. He will be doing. He will be. They reckon the FA might even extend that. He's got a 3-match ban. They may even extend it as well. So I'm all over Bristol City on the draw no bet market tonight. And the other bet I like, which is I bet this morning, which was minus 140 actually, and that was I bet Hull to beat Plymouth. They're now minus $2 with Bet Rivers. They were minus 140 this morning. And nothing the fact that Hull are dreadful. I mean, they've only won 2 matches at home this season.
They're minus 205 now, Nigel. It's
to do with the fact that Plymouth have just given everything at the weekend against Manchester City. I mean, that was a huge match for them. They were 1-0 up. They got penned back and lost 3-1 in the FA Cup. Prior to that, they had a huge match against Liverpool in the FA Cup when they knocked Liverpool out. And they just must be running on empty. And I think Hull will get the job done here. Hull's home record is shocking. They've only won twice in the Championship this season in the domestic league, and their better form is on the road. They went to Sunderland last time out, won 1-0. They went to Sheffield United earlier in the season and won 3-0. They've got a decent manager though. The manager coming from Reading, I quite like the manager, and I think they'll beat Plymouth here tonight. Again, I wouldn't bet them at minus 205, but you might want to put them in a parlay with something because I just think Plymouth's legs will be absolutely gone. And the other thing you've got to remember, I know there's a lot of people here who are American and people from all around the world as well, might not know the geographical state of the United Kingdom or England, but this is the longest journey you could possibly go on a midweek light. Plymouth to Hull is like the furthest place you can possibly go. Now, I was trying to work out whether they would have stayed in Manchester from Sunday rather than gone back, But I spoke to someone who knows somebody at Plymouth. They reckon they come back to see their families. So they've come back from Manchester on Sunday, come back Monday morning, come back for a day, and then they've got a 6-hour drive, or if they get the coach, or a commute into London to get a train, and then a 6-hour drive back. I mean, it's the longest journey. I know in terms of the how big America is. People just go 6 hours to go and get a pint of milk, but in England that's the furthest you can go. So geographically, after the match against Manchester City, to do that trip will take its toll, and I can understand why they're being bet. They have got an awful home record though, -205. I wouldn't want to be steaming into that, but I was very happy with a -142 this morning, and I would put it in a double. So I'm going to go for Bristol City's draw no bet, -108 against Millwall, and Hull to beat Plymouth at -205. Both reasons are because they've got big FA Cup hang-ups. It's great for these clubs to get to the FA Cup. It's great for them to get financial reward, but the minute they go out of it, it causes problems for them with a fixture pile-up and the players, and they haven't got the quality of a squad to cope with the fixture backlog that it does happen. And added into that long journey, they're the two bets I like. The other thing I like here, if you want any bets on the lower leagues, English lower leagues, which I know a lot of people do, you've got to subscribe to the newsletter. We had a bet last week on the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. That won. We went 2 out of 3 on our bets last week on the newsletter, and there is a bet on the newsletter in the English lower leagues tonight. But this show, we're only covering the Championship and the Champions League. But make sure you subscribe to that newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com.
Yeah, I've just put the newsletter link in the chat there. Do subscribe to that newsletter, free every week. I'm a bit surprised Plymouth didn't stay in the north either, Nigel. Here, they could have, they could have even got a bit of sea air and gone to Skegness or something. That's not too far.
That's probably why they didn't stay in the north. That's probably why they wanted to come back.
Well, yeah,
there's sea air in Plymouth. They're from the sea.
Yeah, well, the Yorkshire coast is probably better. Well, maybe not that part of the Yorkshire coast actually. Hull is a bit grim, and Grimsby in that sort of area. Yeah, but yeah, it's a long trip. Justin makes there. Do any of these sides ever fly? Probably not below the Premier League, right?
No, they will fly. They get trained. They'll get a train. I think they get a train. But you got to remember, Plymouth it's in literally the most out middle of nowhere kind of things. So they would get. I'm sure they get a train. They get a thing into Plymouth and then go into London and get another train. It's going to be a good 5-hour journey.
A few comments about Mateta, of course, that horrible goalkeeper challenge. I saw Joey Barton defend that challenge on socials the other day. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then I found out he's got a YouTube channel called Talking Common Sense with Joey Barton. Something you just couldn't believe what I was seeing there, Nigel. Will Dan Roebuck ever have a bet on a newsletter, or will that cause it to cancel the subscription, says Paul Laguna?
Well, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how he gets on.
Yeah, but anyway, let's. There's one more special I wanted to mention before we go. It is in the Real Madrid game. Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., or Rodrigo to score 2 or more goals at plus 255. For those who do like either of those to score a brace or more, then do get on that. And you can watch these live streams in the Championship matches we were just talking about, all 4 of them, on the BetRivers website or the app. All of the 12 League One games in England today and the League Two matches as well, in addition to WTA Indian Wells qualifying, a massive tennis event starting very soon, Nigel, which you must be getting very excited about. And you're going to be recording later with Sean Calvert, I do believe.
Yeah, he's excited because he's out there. I'm not so excited. I'm not so excited. But we're recording Game Bet Match in about half an hour after this show, which will be dropping later today. And then straight after, I'm recording the WTA show with Rory Giovanni. Fingers crossed my internet is working by then. I don't have to use this mobile phone. But hopefully, it's going to be. Someone's asked for a bet. I don't really look at the qualification matches, really. I only study the first round. It's very rare that I will have a bet on qualification. So, no, I haven't got one yet. But the lads will certainly have some bets, and they will be live later on this evening on the tennis.
And you can follow Sean's progress out there on the Instagram account. I've just linked that in the chat as well. Some very good content on that Instagram account at the moment. T-Son Kingsley, will there be a CONCACAF Champions League video? Unfortunately not. This is North American Champions League. I did talk to someone about that game, fully enough, earlier though, Kingsley. Columbus Crew at LAFC. Get on the over goals. That was what I was told. But we have run out of time for this show. Thank you so much, everyone who's come in the live chat or watch on demand and put all your best bets and stuff in. Sorry, I can't get through. There's so many today, I can't get through them all. But we really appreciate you. Best of whatever you are taking in the Champions League in England, worldwide today. Remember to gamble responsibly. But thank you very much, Nigel. We got through that. The internet held up for you, or your phone signal held up.
Just about. Hopefully, we'll be okay for another 3 hours of podcast over the next few hours now.
All right. Well, take care, Nigel. Thanks very much. And we'll see you all tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Jack Wright is going to be joining the show, and we're going to be breaking down all the matches. Stay safe. I'll see you on Betting Week Live tomorrow.